الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر.
Let us take a moment to consider Hazrat Hussain, R.A. and the Blessed Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Today we often observe that a great man makes significant sacrifices, truly massive sacrifices, and then the younger generation simply cashes in on those sacrifices. You have surely seen it. One person gives everything through sacrifice, and then the children live it up comfortably. Haven't you witnessed that happening in our world frequently with your own eyes? But Allah Almighty graciously protected the pure lineage of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from this worldly phenomenon. Our beloved Prophet had two sons of his own, namely Hassan and Hussain. His lineage continued through Hazrat Fatima. Both grandsons were martyred, and there was surely great divine wisdom in that. That the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam first focused on the training of his own family. Today people act like experts outside, preaching to everyone, yet they sadly do not care about the state of their own homes. But whom did the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prioritize to train first? He personally trained Hazrat Hassan and Hussain. So when you found yourself completely surrounded on all sides in the plains of Karbala and were being heavily pressured by the enemy to swear your allegiance and loyalty to Ibn Ziyad, you firmly refused to embrace such a life of humiliation. You were absolutely certain within yourself that you simply could not withstand such a massive and powerful army alone. In this material world of causes, there appeared to be no hope of victory. But by deciding to fight anyway, Hazrat Hussain, R.A., took a firm stand, and by choosing to accept the path of glorious martyrdom, he brought a lasting curse upon Ibn Ziyad and all the rulers who condoned this murder until the day of judgment opened the door to the divine sequence. Sometimes Allah also specifically intends for this to happen for a reason, that the wretched get a period of respite, so their crime, the Quran says, we will lead them on from where they know not. We will grant them a long respite in their evil deeds, allowing them to advance, letting them proceed in a way they won't even realize, so that on judgment day, their torment is multiplied many times over. Now, my brothers, what significant lesson is there for us to learn from the time when this tragic incident finally occurred in history? What important takeaway can we gather from such a moment? A great outcry and intense lamentation arose throughout the entire Islamic world at that time. But tell me, did the people truly understand what happened? Did the holy and pure women of the Ahl al-Bayt start to lament after this tragic event occurred? Or did they instead practice beautiful patience? What does your own inner conscience say? What does it tell you? Would they have wailed loudly or shown profound patience? Say it out loud, brothers, they were patient. Even Abdullah bin Umar, who was a great companion, who used to rebuke the people of Kufa, you ask us about the ruling on killing a tiny louse, yet you murdered Hussain. Ibn Umar said this precisely because he felt the deep grief of it. So what was Ibn Umar's actual conduct? Did he mourn loudly? Did he strike himself with knives in his sorrow? The murder of Hussain was deeply tyrannical, and the murder of Sayyiduna Uthman before him was also tyrannical. If wailing or public mourning like this was truly allowed in Islam, if mourning is permissible, it's permissible for Hazrat Usman's martyrdom and Hazrat Hussein's too. But if it is strictly forbidden for one, then it is for both. Then as it's forbidden for Usman's martyrdom, it's also forbidden for Hussein's as well. Do you understand this point or not, my dear brothers? What does the Holy Quran actually say regarding such occasions and tragic events of the past? We must look at the word of Allah for guidance. That is a nation which has passed on. It will have what it earned, and you will have what you earned. Whenever the Quran recounts stories of past nations, the Quran tells us that they were a nation who have already passed away. They shall receive the reward for their deeds, and you shall likewise receive the reward for your own deeds on that final day. Thus Allah has also informed us through this significant event that Sayyiduna Hussein's story is the tragic story of Karbala. Whenever you hear it, simply think, they were a noble people who passed away. Whoever performed good, and Hussain ibn Ali surely did good, he will receive the full reward for that goodness. And for those killers whose hands were responsible, whose hands were stained with Sayyiduna Hussein's sacred and blessed blood since they murdered him, then for them is the burden of what they earned, and they surely will also face the full recompense for that terrible act of tyranny. So what is our duty today? We must follow Hussein's path of righteousness rather than simply engaging in mourning in Hussein's name. What is Hussein's path that we must follow in our lives? Now let me tell you a few important things. The first lesson we learn from Karbala is that honor and faith are on one side and the world is on the other. One must always choose between the path of the soul and material gain. Look, if Hazrat Hussain, R.A., had gone and pledged his allegiance into the hands of Ibn Ziyad, do you really think that he would not have showered Hazrat Hussain with immense worldly wealth and riches for doing so? Just think, when a prominent and great person pledges allegiance to someone, he also benefits personally from it, doesn't he? And was Hazrat Hussain not absolutely certain that he would eventually be martyred in the plains of Karbala? In the world of means, there was no hope for victory or success. Yet rather than seeing the Al Bayt disgraced in Karbala, he chose otherwise. He preferred an honorable death. Today, if you have the inner character and the capacity to prefer a death of honor over anything else in this world, and especially over a life of humiliation, then you are a true follower of Hussein. No, this point, I think it is very important to understand that this is the true essence. There are many documented accounts of the extreme generosity shown by Sayyiduna Hussain throughout his life. Sayyiduna Hussain was certainly not a rebel, may Allah be pleased with him. This is a crucial point that we must all understand correctly regarding the status of the Imam. Then, regarding the actual conduct of the Ahl al-Bayt and what is happening in the month of Muharram today, let me tell you my thoughts clearly. It is important to understand reality. We do not find any of these practices within the Holy Quran, nor do we find them among the companions. So what I and my companions follow is the sect of paradise. These are its identifying signs. And if you go against these signs and do not follow the companions and the successors, then you should stop calling yourself a Sunni. Tell me, is any month in Islam considered to be unlucky? Speak up. Is there any month that is truly ill-omened? Tell me, is there any month at all that is unlucky? So why do you call Muharram unlucky? People say to me, Mufti Sahab is spreading sectarianism. Look, I am only spreading sectarianism if I am turning you against any particular sect. Shias also listen to my lectures and they even meet me. Many times I have met them at the airport and they have met me with great respect. They say, I am Shia but I love you. They even come here to this very mosque. I have never mocked anyone's faith. And that is exactly the core reason why I say repeatedly, let Shias follow their faith. They set up water stalls, don't bother them or harass them. They perform mourning rituals, don't interfere with them. They recite elegies and read laments, do not bother them. But you must clarify your own position. Are you a Shia or a Sunni? At least choose one side. If you are driving around in your cars playing funeral elegies during the month of Muharram, it means that you are not a Sunni. We have the authentic hadiths of the Prophet PBUH available with us. We are the Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah and it is our duty to follow the Sunnah alone. So what does the Sunnah say? Tearing clothes for the dead or wailing and screaming in grief. The Prophet said, he is not of us. He is not from among our people, are not. And the Prophet PBUH has cursed this act. People say, crying in the memory of Hussein is the Prophet's Sunnah. But is it? When Gabriel told the Prophet PBUH that Hussein would be martyred, he wept because he had just received the news. But did he organize mourning sessions every Muharram? Or did he formally sit and make the companions weep? What has happened, brother? If you also hear the news of the Karbala incident and tears come to your eyes now, this is natural. It's a sign of love for Hussein. But organizing a formal crying program every Muharram is not a sign of love for Hussein really. Rather, it is strictly impermissible in Sharia. This act of increasing and prolonging grief, from where exactly did it become permissible for us to do today? Hazrat Uthman was also martyred for the sake of Allah. And remember that he was the beloved son-in-law of the Holy Prophet, PBUH. Why don't you call weeping in his memory a sunnah? In our view, the killing of Hussein was also a very grave injustice, a tragic event and a truly monumental crime. And the murder of Sayyidina Uthman was also a very grave injustice. Both of them were victims, and both were truly oppressed and noble martyrs. We are deeply grieved by the martyrdom of both, but we do not formalize or celebrate this grief now. Formal mourning is not a sunnah in the true religion of Islam. Look at Jafar Tayyar, R.A., who was the first cousin of the Prophet, a member of the Ahl al-Bayt, and a beloved companion of the Messenger. When he, peace be upon him, sent them out to the battlefield for the sake of battle, it was a fight against the powerful and the numerically superior Roman army. Hazrat Jafar al-Tayyar had 4 wives. While the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sitting in the Prophet's mosque, the angels informed him of what occurred, that Jafar al-Tayyar had been martyred. Tears began to flow from the eyes of the Prophet, peace be upon him, as he heard. These tears fell from his eyes at that exact moment when the news of his martyrdom first arrived. At such a time, the natural shedding of tears is a clear sign of love. He sent a companion of the Prophet to go and give the news to his wives. Go, tell his wives and inform them that Jafar Tayyar has been martyred while fighting on the battlefield now. What a sacrifice the companions made. You see, Jafar al-Tayyar was such a young man, a handsome youth. During the battle of Badr, he was there when the pagans of Mecca raised the cry of, is there any challenger? 3 chiefs stepped forward. They said, first let 3 of your bravest warriors come forward to fight us. That was their challenge. You see, it was a common Arab custom that whenever 2 armies stood face to face for war, first from both sides, the bravest of people would come out to engage in a direct combat. The bravest of people would engage in combat, and until one of the 2 was killed, the main battle would not begin. So you know that only the bravest who knew how to fight would come out. From the pagans of Mecca, 3 or 4 great chiefs stepped forward to challenge. Before the battle, before the fight at Badr, they shouted the cry, "Is there any challenger? Who among you will fight us first?" in a loud voice. Meaning, if we are 3 from here, then 3 are needed from your side. From that side, the Ansar companions stepped forward to meet the challenge of the 3 polytheists. The Meccan polytheists said, "They are not our equals. We want Qurayshis and Hashmis. We want people of our own lineage and status to come and fight against us." So from that side, the Prophet PBUH sent Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Jafar Tayyar. Among the companions he sent for the fight was indeed Hazrat Jafar Tayyar. Hazrat Jafar Tayyar, may Allah be pleased with him, and Sayyiduna Ali prevailed in the duel. They both emerged completely victorious in the combat against their polytheist opponents. This beautiful companion delivered a powerful and moving speech while standing before the Negus himself. When they migrated to Abyssinia, the Negus asked Jafar Tayyar, "Will you recite some of the words that your Prophet has brought to you from your God above now?" And then Hazrat Jafar Tayyar, may Allah be pleased with him, began to recite the beautiful verses from Surah Maryam. He recounted the miraculous story of Hazrat Maryam, the pure and chosen one, and her son Isa, the son of Maryam, who was a sign for all mankind. He spoke of the birth of Prophet Isa and the trials faced by Maryam, and how she was vindicated by the speech of her infant son. This narrative was so powerful and filled with truth that it resonated deeply with everyone present in the court of the Negus, bringing clarity and understanding of the message that the Prophet had brought to the entire world at that time. Hazrat Jafar Tayyar described their lives from Surah Maryam so that the Negus wept until his beard was soaked, as did all the priests present in the court. Everyone's beards were soaked with tears as they wept. This was the moving speech that eventually led the Negus to embrace Islam. Who was it that brought the king to Islam? It was Hazrat Jafar Tayyar. To have young children and 4 young wives waiting at home and then to be martyred while fighting on the battlefield in such a state is an incredible sacrifice. Imagine the great difficulty of such a massive sacrifice. So what a great calamity must have struck the Prophet and his companions at that time. Yet even then, from the eyes of our beloved Prophet PBUH, there were only tears of very deep sorrow. Only tears like beautiful pearls were trickling down his face as he informed the companions that Jafar Tayyar had been martyred while fighting in the noble path of Allah today. "Go and inform his family of the news," he said. "Is this not a monumental and massive sacrifice? Tell me when the messenger finally arrived with the news. The messenger finally informed the wives that Jafar Tayyar was martyred. Then from within the households of the Prophet, the sounds of weeping and grief began to emerge now. The sound of women wailing was heard. The Prophet PBUH said, 'Tell them to lower their voices at once.' Then the sound of loud crying and screaming was heard once again. Of wailing was heard once again, and he said, 'If they wail again, throw dust in their mouths.' You must remember, after all, she was a noble martyr's grieving widow. And even for a martyr so sacred, the Prophet PBUH did not allow lamentation. Even on the very day grief first struck, wailing and screaming were not permitted by him at all here. So you tell me, how does wailing and screaming become permissible on this date next year? I don't think you understood the point. When grief first arrives, screaming is not allowed today. At that time, screaming and shouting is not allowed. Little orphan children, the little orphan children of Hazrat Jafar Tayyar, just think how much grief there is. When little children's father leaves this world forever, one feels so much pity and compassion for them in their state of loss. One feels truly sorry for them. Our Prophet also felt pity for those orphan children, and he felt deep pity for those widows too. But neither did the Prophet PBUH wail and cry himself, nor did he allow their wives to wail. I don't think the point is being understood. My aim is not to mock our Shia brothers. Let them follow their own religion and path. My aim is only for you to clarify your own position in this specific matter very clearly indeed. Whether you are here or there, do not bother anyone, nor issue fatwas of infidelity against others, nor declare anyone hellbound. You must simply clarify your own position. You decide that if you want to go that way, then go completely. Then do not maintain the state of being neither here nor there at all. That is their religion, brother. Their scholars tell them to wear black in Muharram, to mourn, to consider Muharram unlucky, and not to marry during it. Their scholars tell them so, let them follow it. In the world, many sects and many religions exist. We can neither eliminate anyone nor create hatred against anyone. Nothing will be gained from that. There is no need to hate anyone in this world. There is no need to issue fatwas against anyone, but you must clarify your own position that is clear to all. Where do I stand? If you are Sunni, then Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah follow the Sahaba and Tabi'un. They follow Hadith, and in Hadith, self-flagellation, wailing or tearing clothes are not permitted. Rather, they are strictly forbidden. Such acts have been declared haram and unlawful. Do you understand exactly what I am saying to you today? As for what the Shia brothers do, They are our friends. I am not joking. They meet with us. I never discuss religious topics with them, nor do I ever provoke them at all about why they do this or why they don't do that. Brother, it is his religion and his sect. Let him do as he pleases. We simply don't do it.